we're back. Game number 4, what could be our final game if Fnatic can pull the win. Liquid, though, wants to push it to 5 as they trail 2-1 and are now down to their moment of desperation. Liquid leads off with a first pick Clinks, not giving Fnatic the chance to ban him out. Instead, want to get Koikva, the hero on the hero that gave him so much success early in the series. Also going to pair it up with the Alchemist, while Fnatic going to go ahead and take Enchantress for the second game in a row. This time, though, they're going to be the team that gets the Elder Titan. To break down the draft and lend his insight and analysis as always, welcome in once again, Ben Merlini Wu. And Ben, it's been a great series, but Fnatic right now, they've got home field advantage. They are in a position. They've got Elder Titan. They had to give up the Clinks to get it. But Liquid, I mean, at this point, they have to make something happen and do it very quickly.
This is going to be a really difficult game for them, playing on Luxembourg, not having Elder Titan, and coming off that loss too. It's all not very well for team morale. They will also ban out Bane, so looks like no playmakers for Waytu this game. Well, I mean, he can make plays on other heroes, but not his usual playmakers. No Bane for him. Visit first ban out from Fnatic. I think that Liquid also could have drafted Visit first last game instead of Elder Titan, just because I don't really know how good Fnatic is with Elder Titan. I rarely see them run it, and if they're going to first pick it, that means that Trixie isn't going to have a very high impact hero like a Timbersaw or a Clockwork.
No, exactly.
Clockwork's still in the pool.
Yeah,
too.
Clockwork's still around. And Bulba, obviously, Bulba, his Clockwork is the stuff of legend. He really is as good as it gets on the hero and has been for some time. Based on what they see out of Fnatic, it's hard to just see a hard and fast reason to pick it other than Bulba's damn good on Clockwork. And it would make sense because they're probably going to be wanting to farm Koikva much like they did in earlier in the series whenever he had the Clinks as well. So you'll want him in a side lane. That frees up mid for Bulba. And the Clock, again, just the hero on which he knows how to make things happen over and over and over again. And it has shown a tremendous amount of ability. Fnatic, though, they've got a lot of options open to them with their first 2 picks, Elder Titan and Enchantress. Both can work in team fight lineups. Both can work, especially the Enchantress as a roamer. Could set things up for a nice pick and push kind of a style. Elder Titan does add a considerable amount of push, not to mention the ability to take fights under the enemy tower because of Echo Stomp and the power of Earth Splitter as well, and just the ability to zone heroes out by using Ancestral Spirits. So at this point, I think Fnatic just needs to stick with what they know best. They tend to work really well with lineups that allow them to move around as 5, to split the map up, to dissect the map. And Liquid, well, I mean, they've fallen prey to it a couple of times.
Unusual coming out from this draft. I think that giving them Clinks is a good idea, though. Koikva played really, really well in the first game, aside from the early laning phase, which he got dominated by the Weaver. But aside from that, still played very decently. And Fnatic not looking to give Liquid the same lineup that they had in the first game, banning out the Night Stalker. That TC actually played pretty well. So I wonder whether or not they're going to put Alchemist mid. Probably not. I would say that TC is probably going to be running the Alchemist, and that's pretty scary. Alchemist plus Rubik. And yeah, Elder Titan, he's not the greatest versus Alchemist or Clinks or Rubik for that matter. All of them have innate defensive capabilities with their spell sets. Alchemist with his ultimate, Rubik with no field, and Clinks with Death Pack. So heroes won't be as squishy as normal.
Now, waiting on in the third pick now from Fnatic. Really tough to tell what the complexion of their lineup's going to be. Liquid staying rather ambiguous on purpose as well. With the third pick, Rubik. Great roaming potential. They're going to go ahead and grab the Weaver as their farming hero. So opens the option back up for Midas Dota if they wanted to do that yet again. It worked out well for them in our last game, but they certainly were pushed pretty hard by it. And with Team Liquid having a snowball hero, 2 snowball heroes as a matter of fact, and Clinks and Alchemist, especially if they farm the Alchemist, that would be susceptible to early pressure. If Clinks can get a good start, get up a very quick Orchid, if Alchemist is able to get up an early Shadow Blade, phase Shadow Blade, something like that, even phase BKB, depending on what they want to pair with it, could give them a lot of early aggressive potential. So far, both teams really keeping their game plan under wraps, at least as much as they can, having shown as much as they have.
Whether Fnatic's going to go with like an early push, there is still Pugna available in the pool. I'm surprised that neither team has really looked at that at all.
Something worth mentioning in regards to that Pugna pick, as you just mentioned, is Fnatic actually ran that to really nice success against Na'Vi in their regular season. the regular season series, they farmed it as a 1. They had Era on it, and they could end up doing that again. You could put the Weaver mid or send him into the off lane and end up farming the Pugna and then just put together an extremely push-centric lineup. Weaver fits into that to a certain extent as well, just because of how simply he can split push. And with an Elder Titan, Enchantress, and Pugna, regardless of what else you put with it, that's a very potent core that will allow you to start taking fights 4-on-5 even if you want, especially when you look at what Liquid has. They do have heroes that need some time and need some items. Dragon Knight, great once he hits 6, fits well into a push lineup, however, does really need some items to feel effective. Same with Alchemist. Clinks especially needs up that core item of the Orchid. And they're going to go ahead and grab the OD, so Pugna's still available. We'll see if Liquid's going to ban it out last year.
It's a hero that we actually haven't seen in any of these in this series, I believe, and definitely has the upper hand on the matchup in mid. And I think that it's a slight misstep giving it away, especially as a force pick. I think they could have picked it up themselves instead of the DK. And I think Koifa plays a pretty nasty, pretty good OD too. So I'm surprised that they let us slip it through, but. Not all in all, not that big of a deal. Dragon Knight is very susceptible to OD burst too. He does a ton of magic damage and pure damage, so that armor is not going to help him at all. It is decent versus Elder Titan and Weaver, but Team Liquid can also go for early push with Pugna too. Again, Fnatic doesn't have that great anti-push with a DK, with the Clink sieging away at towers. It should be fairly easy for them to take the early game. And we haven't really seen Liquid come back from that poor of an early game start. It's mostly them having the really good early game and Fnatic coming back from that. So I think Team Liquid, if they get off to an even better early game than before, then Fnatic potentially won't be able to come back through their typical very fantastic 5-man play. Yeah,
I very much agree. And again, when I look at this lineup, this does strike me as a lineup where Fnatic might decide to go with something very Midas heavy. It's going to be a Mirana ban last for Fnatic, and that's just good scouting. Liquid does like to run the Mirana in situations like this. Would give them a lot of aggressive potential as well early on, allow them to make space for whichever of their 2 or 3 farming heroes, depending on how they want to run this. And that's the question that remains too: is this going to be a farming Alchemist, or are they going to do something else with him? But it's tough to call. I mean, there are things about both sides that I like a whole lot. I like the Dragon Knight pickup to a certain extent. Now they're going to grab the Nyx Assassin, so it will be most likely a tri-laned Alchemist with Clinks in the offlane and Dragon Knight in mid. That's a lot of gold to split amongst 3 heroes that tend to be very gold hungry. And a 3-core lineup can be tough to execute because of that if you don't begin to rack up some kills and if you have any trouble keeping towers up. Fnatic still has the option of grabbing the Pugna here if they want to put him in a support position. One would imagine they'll be farming the Weaver with OD in mid, Elder Titan in the offlane, Enchantress in the jungle. And then still having the support position open if they want to grab Pugna here could give them a lot of push potential and the ability to just flat out roll over Team Liquid with magic damage early on.
Reserve time.
Very fantastic pickup, though. Oh, and the last pick, Lich. It's not bad. Just a very typical support. And Nyx Assassin, very good versus the OT, and also very good at picking up Weaver if you can play it as effectively as we saw Moo play the other day. But there are some Nyx Assassins that just don't have a good hold on the hero. Some players that just aren't able to connect with stuns on Weaver, unable to bust through a early Leakins pickup on the Weaver too. And Moo handled that excellently. I think he had a 4-staff as well as a Yules to pop the Lincolns on the Weaver, but at the same time he did have help with a Centaur. In this game they will not have the luxury of a non-targeted AoE stun.
And Fnatic and Liquid ready to load in what could be our final game, not just of the day, not just of the West, but of our entire regular season, as Fnatic leads this best of 5 2-1. And Liquid down to midnight hour. They have to make the clock tune in their tone in their key, I should say. I'm sure there's a much more clever analogy I can make. Nonetheless, it is all set to be a very exciting, what could be a very exciting conclusion. That it will be interrupted by a pause. That's okay. But yeah, so far it's been really fun. I feel like Liquid has done a good job in this series for the most part of showing us why they finished and how they finished so very high in our stacked Western pool. But Fnatic has just been on such an outstanding run. Again, coming through the entire length of our bubble race. To get here, they've had to beat Virtus Pro and Na'Vi, and now, again, just one game win away from adding Liquid to their kill list on their way to Las Vegas.
How Liquid adjust to their mistakes from last game. One thing about good teams that are able to capitalize on their mistakes from last game, not get demoralized, and correct those mistakes so they can take that next game. Fnatic just needs to keep doing what they've been doing. They've been on a really hot streak since game one, and Liquid just kind of fallen off since then. And it's really on Liquid to improve their play rather than Fnatic, because Fnatic, again, they did not make many mistakes at all in the prior series. So Liquid, I think their draft is a lot better this game. They're going back to with what worked for them, which is TC, Dragon Knight hero. That's more of his passive farmer and a good team fight player without the reliance of a Blink Dagger, and Koikbo with the Clinks to Space Creator on him. So I think that they're doing they've done a good job with the draft so far. I wouldn't give either team advantage. Maybe slight advantage to Fnatic because they have OD and Elder Titan, two of the strongest picks I think in this version, or at least as the state of the game goes right now.
This is going to be fascinating, the way they're going to lane this. TC is going to be farming the Dragon Knight. They're going to be running Bulba in mid on the Nyx Assassin. Koikva is going to be farming the solo safe lane. What an offensive tri lane. Complete surprise is Way2 will be playing on the support Alchemist along with Fluff and stuff. And TC taking the Dragon Knight into an aggressive position. Now, Dragon Knight...
They're one of the few teams that does this.
Yep. The Dragon Knight, not traditionally known as a major lane dominator in these sorts of situations. His laning phase can feel very weak, even though he has a very strong stun, even at level 1 in Dragon Tail. And that's what this is all going to be about, is manipulating, basically punishing any poor positioning with the telekinesis, followed by Dragon Tail, and then finally the unstable concoction. And depending on, it looks like, are they actually going to send Trixie into the offlane? Yeah, it looks like that's going to be the case. Hani will be taking the OD mid, no surprise there. And yeah, they're going to be sending Fly and Era, at least for the moment, up to the offlane. Era on the Elder Titan in the offlane is an interesting choice in and of itself.
Yeah, I haven't seen too much. I would like to see stats pulled up on that, as well as Hani's OD. When I think of Hani, I don't think OD. When I think of Era, I don't think Elder Titan. So both of these are pretty interesting, and not really sure how it's going to stack up.
Don't really think of Bulba on Nyx Assassin either. And
yeah, it's more up his alley though. He likes like the Bat Rider, the Beastmaster, those type of heroes. He excels at, I'd say.
No Tail's going to be hanging out in the jungle here to help out Trixie if needs be. But I don't know that Liquid's going to be particularly happy that they're up against the Weaver here. I mean, Weaver's just so tough to track down, even at early levels. Trixie will certainly be able to get experience and should be able to find at least some CS. So far sitting at just 0.
If he gets lifted, though, he's dead.
Yep.
So I think that Fluff should play much more aggressively than he is playing and completely zone out the Weaver, because lift into a DK stun into a concoction, that is just way too much stun unlock with one little bug to handle.
We can see Era and Fly with total lane control up here at top. Koikva doing what he can with the pull camp just to secure some experience and some CS. He's not even level 2 yet. Trixie almost level 3, so in terms of the battle of the solo laners, Trixie coming out ahead there. Hani's level 3, and just about a half level ahead of Bulba as of right now. Bulba, in terms of CS, sitting at 3 to the 7 and 4 of Hani's. So right now, the lane's going fairly well in favor of Fnatic, I would say.
Yeah, Enchantress doing a really good job of helping Trixie out on bottom with that Wildkin. Right clicks first, and then now a Tornado harassing out DK. They're forced to blow through a lot of regen already. And we see Fluff and Way2 huddling around the 2 minute, and they're actually using the stacking the Anxious as well. But No Tail, very efficient play too, sending one skeleton there to scout so he can farm up and get experience, because he has had to devote some of his creeps to bottom lane.
We're going to see a smoke from Way2 and Fluff, and rotating the top. This is the right call to make. Koikva just doing way too poorly up here. And down at bottom, they're unable to zone Trixie off of experience. He's level 3.5. Compare that. Actually, Koikva has caught up after that latest creep wave. So,
there's smoke.
Yep, moving up towards top now. And here in mid, No Tail's hanging around as well, using the Tornado to make life even harder on Bull. But they're going to try to go on him. Unstable Concoction's there. He's going to have to throw it very soon. There's the lift. Hani thrown back, and some damage is there. There's an impale to follow it up. First blood might go on the board. Will not quite go on the board. And wow, Enchantress actually manages to draw first blood. Bulba's Mana Bird comes out in time to make it a 1-1 exchange. But the first blood advantage ends up going to Fnatic up atop. Koikfa continues to take a lot of abuse. Thought they were going to smoke through and go help out up there. Instead, bit of a botched execution here in mid and ends up 1-1 afterwards.
It's about an even trade, even though Fnatic got the first blood. Hani died instead of Bulba, so Hani died and Bulba lived and Rubik died. So all in all, not the worst trade for them. That Astral by Hani though onto Bulba actually was very, very good though, because he didn't have enough mana to impale and mana burn. I think that Bulba should have just mana burned him out before instead of waiting to burst him down.
Way2 now hooking up with Koikfa to make this a 2-on-2 affair. They're actually going to be rotating No Tail up here as well. This isolates Trixie versus TC. TC leading the way in terms of CS. He's at 23. Just 2 for Trixie right now, so his item progression going to be very, very stagnant here in the first 5 to 10 minutes. But Hani and Bulba continuing to go back and forth. Bulba at 8 CS. Hani at 13 and 8 has gotten some denies, but still Bulba is at least getting some gold.
Yep, Fluff camping the top rune. He will find Hani there, possibly. No. No Tail's just been all around the map though.
Yep.
First on bottom, then in mid for that first blood, now on top lane. He is just so good at rotating around, knowing where he needs to be, and not falling behind at levels 2. He is almost level 4 minutes in, and that is fantastic when you're a roamer like that. Compare that to a hero like Rubik, who's still level 1, Alchemist, who is still level 3, and Enchantress is having a very, very fine start. And this is with like no items too. He just picked up with Boots of Speed and Magic 6, so he made all this happen with just a smoke, which he didn't even have to use, and 1 set of tangos.
Bulba in mid, just about level 6. I'll be there momentarily. No Tail continuing to add assistance wherever he can. You can see the tornado making life hard on our little bug. Down the bottom, here's a rotation of Way2 and Fluff. They might decide to take another run at Trixie. He's hanging around his own tier 1, though. And it would be quite chancy if they decided to move in that direction.
He needs to drop a sentry ward. He knows that they have a ward here. He should know because Trixie was playing up until then. And they are sitting not in range of the ward. Oh, actually, Fluff is. He's just sitting right on the range. If you click on it, he was right in that circle. So very obvious where he is, and he will just creep pull instead.
Top tower is under attack.
Up at top, Era and company continue to play very aggressive. Koikfa is coming up on level 5, has hit level 5. He's got 12 CS, so he's actually bounced back quite admirably in comparison to Trixie. And Liquid in pretty good shape as these lanes have stabilized a little bit for them. We can actually see Fnatic maintains a gold and experience lead, but it could have gotten much worse than it became. And I feel like Liquid's rotations and movement have really behooved them quite well.
And Nyx Assassin is level 6. He still has 1 second of Astral on him. Radiant will use their glyph, and this tower is getting relatively low. I think both teams will just exchange a 1-for-1. Smart creep pull by Way2. Looking at Trixie, he's actually taking out the creeps from behind, but only level 1 swarm won't be enough to take down this creep wave.
Yep.
And TC with a ton of armor will just whack away at the tower and just get a free kill.
And tower drops down up at top. They have a glyph if they want to defend it. Doesn't look like that's going to be the case.
Hani.
And Hani with Bulba right on his tail. Bulba runs out of mana though, and didn't have anything else he could do to try to bring him down. And right clicks just weren't going to be enough. Arrow will go ahead and take that kill. And you know, thinking back, was it Arrow we saw build an Orchid Malevolence on a fairly farmed Elder Titan before? I'm almost positive it was.
I'm not sure. I don't think I've ever seen one Elder Titan, personally.
No, you and I did. We definitely did.
We did?
Yeah, it's been in D2L. Yeah, it was an Orchid because we talked. No, actually, it might have been in the East. Now I'm thinking about it. It might have been very, very early in Eastern play. But yeah,
I remember YYF built an armlet.
Yeah, there was. Oh no, you're right. Yes, it was an armlet, not an Orchid. I'm thinking of a friend of mine who, when we play with him, actually Dragon Knight, going to be able to find a kill on the Weaver at bottom. So TC managing to punish him out, and Liquid making it a 2-to-1 trade, at least for right now. Koikfa continuing to slowly bank up gold. And we'll see if this is going to be a game where he gets a Midas. He's got 1,800 gold in the bank, so it would certainly seem that's going to be the case.
Hani actually did not go for a Midas this game either. I think he's scared of the Nyx Assassin. He wants the extra HP buffer in case he gets engaged upon, which is really smart from him, but at the same time, if they have more... I don't think that Nyx Assassin can solo kill him, and if they have 2 heroes, the power charge isn't going to save him anyways, so at the same time, I think it's nice to have an HP buffer, but a little bit unnecessary in this game, and probably could have gotten away with a more greedy build. As long as the supports have been on the spot with Sentry Wards, we see Lich with 1 in his inventory. Enchantress, maybe going for the early Midas.
Midas pick up on Clinks. So the race is on. What can they do to try to shut Clinks down, and how quickly can Koikfa get out that Orchid after the Midas pickup? Everything has remained fairly calm. Only 3 kills in an 8-minute game so far. The gold remains in Fnatic's favor, but only slightly. The experience is actually coming back down in favor of Liquid a bit now. And as we get closer to 10 minutes, who do you think's under the gun more here, Ben? Is it going to be Liquid or Fnatic that really are feeling pressured to execute?
I think Liquid, but they're not really pressured to execute. They just have a lineup that's just much better. Oh, Koikfa getting caught out.
And Hani being chased here in mid. Titan manages to catch out Koikfa, as you mentioned. And Hani, super fast. Here's Trixie showing his face, and Waitu's actually very low health. And they got to get that thing off of him. Slowly chewing him down. Oh, there's the OD ulti, securing 1 kill as they were hanging around and trying to kick bugs off their feet. Up at top, now this is actually a gigantic turnaround. That should have been an easy gank in mid, and we'll recap that in a minute. Koikfa's going to land in, and Era tried the duck into the side and thought better of it. He's picked up drum so far. TC's on his tail. And there's Bulba with the impale, so Era very likely to be caught out here. And here comes the rest of the team, so nice high priority kill for them. But in mid, Hani should have been dead to rights. He was just so damn quick with the Astral Imprison that they couldn't get the Dragon Tail off from the Dragon Knight following their reveal there.
Yeah, Hani really fast reflexes there, and Koikfa just gave away a free kill on top and managed to die too. And I don't even know if they had a dust. He didn't have a dust, so he could have just walked away. He didn't have death packed up either. He just simply got netted. Centaur stomped into a Earth Splitter too, and he was only at like 400 HP, so I think it was a little bit of overkill, but still, regardless, getting a kill on Koikfa at this stage of the game, pretty darn important. Don't want him to get out of control like game number 1. And yeah, the pressure is not really on Liquid. They have they have really good late game, and they have really good gank, so they can play it either way. I don't really think that Liquid feels pressured either way. Fnatic, they don't have as good of a gank lineup, so they're more forced to play passively and farm and react. And I don't think either team feels pressure. If Liquid brings the pressure to Fnatic, they'll be more than happy to react. If Liquid plays passively and decides to farm them, I think Fnatic will be more than happy to farm up too. So I think if they want to play passively, the Roshan is going to be an important point of contest. And Liquid is on Dire this time, so maybe they'll have better control of this game. We see a smoke from 3 people out on bottom. Looks like TC is dead, but he just bought his drums. He can buy a TP scroll and mitigate this gold loss to about 50 gold.
Here we go. Caught out. And doing what damage he can, but tracked down. Here comes Bulba with a DD, though. Sentry goes down, and they're going to be able to catch Bulba. He got the impale off, but dropped immediately. And that's not what they had in mind, as even Lich, with next to no HP, it survives. What an unbelievable good reaction out of Fnatic. And now they may end up taking a tier 1 because of it. It's going to be Midas Gaming once again out of Fnatic, as 3 Midases are on the way. OD has 1 on the way to him, Enchantress has hers, and Weaver finished his quite some time ago.
TC just real sloppy getting caught out. He's like way out here, way far away from his T1. They just took the T2 on top, so they're not going to be pressuring top. Maybe they can smoke gank the jungle too, but he needs vision, and I think Bulba has to kind of provide that vision, scouting around, maybe popping smokes, just scouting out people with Vendetta, but TC cannot die at this point in the game. He's a very important hero, and so is Koikfa. So those 2 heroes have to mitigate their deaths. If Rubik, Elk, or Nick Sessa gets caught out, that's okay. But right now, Fnatic, full control of the game right now, about to take out their, 3rd tower. They don't have to actually have the T1 down in mid or in bottom. Gold lead around 3,500, which is pretty significant, considering Weaver already has his Midas up and running, and Enchantress will have hers up very, very soon, and OD has his too.
Hani just continuing to farm away. Taking a look at the gold graph after that engagement, you can see pretty disastrous, losing TC and Bulba in short succession. The tower does still stand, so they got that going for him, and it looks like, okay, bought on Illusion Rune. But 3,500 gold in the favor of Fnatic, about 3,000 experience. And TC has got his drums and his treads up. BKB going to be absolutely essential for him, though. And that's going to be late in the coming. Era hanging right around. Actually just about caught a breathe fire right in the mouth. No Tail's there. No Tail still has a ways to go on his Midas, though.
Yeah, so looks like Liquid trying to push top. They have the illusions, which will do really good damage to the towers, especially since they apply the poison. But yeah, just slow play from both teams, trying to chip away at towers here and there, apply pressure around the map, draw other team around. We see Fluff and Bobo wrapping around from behind, though, with a smoke.
And Fnatic has 3 up under the tower. Bulba can't get close. They're playing this so smart. Playing just a smidge in front. Now Arrow's going to come back, and Bulba revealed it eats a Frost Blast. And look at his health just melt between Frost Blast and Ancestral Spirit. There's going to be a telekinesis on the no-tail. In the meantime, at the top of the fight, Koikfa forced to pull back. Heard a Lich Ult go off. Fluff's going to end up dead. And Fnatic just flat out sniffing that out. Stayed safe
Boba
until...
didn't even use his Carapace. He could have used Carapace for the Frost Nova. He could have used it for the Ancestral Spirit, but he was just really conservative about it. And we're seeing a lot of the Liquid players just like be super conservative with his spells too. I think TC was really conservative about his Centaur spell usage and his Blink usage, and he's really conservative about his Carapace usage, because if they get stunned, he doesn't take any damage, then Fluff doesn't need to stay around to help him out. But since he was really low at like 200, 300 HP, he was worried that he was going to die.
Oh, TC does end up getting the deny. Attempted sneaky play from Trixie, who just hung around waiting for the auto attack, and even with the proc of Geminate attack, not nearly enough. And right now, it's both teams playing very, very tight. TC could pick up his Ogre Club right now if he wanted to. Hani has been relatively quiet, all things considered. He's up to 1,400 gold now, though, and coming up on level 11, so he'll have his level 2 ulti before long. And I feel like it's only a matter of time before Fnatic starts trying to put the pieces together. And Way2 eating a lot of damage up at top. Arrow's right behind him, and the damage is there. One last big swing of that hammer from Arrow secures yet another kill, make it 7-3 now, favoring Fnatic.
And Elder Titan's going for a Midas too, so they're going to have, what, 4 Midases? Possibly 5 if Lich gets one. That's going to be ridiculous. And like Liquid, they don't have the aggression to punish the Midases. Bulba not really finding any good initiates, and most of the time he's just turning tail and run like right now.
And impetus damage might be enough. Bulba drops. Arrow's going to end up being telekinesis. Good stun onto the high ground, but follow-up not there. Here comes the Astral Imprison. Earth Splitter's there. TC's got to run. Will be sucked into it. And the ulti from Hani thrown out. This is beginning to get out of control already. Liquid, against this many Hand of Midas builds, cannot be giving up this many kills, cannot be making these mistakes. And yeah, we're up towards 7,500 gold in favor of a team that already, short of 15 minutes, or right around 15 minutes, has 4 Hand of Midases on the board. Simply amazing.
They have to be more aggressive around the map. They just aren't really doing anything. TC started off 2-0, now he's 2-2, and Bulba, he's just not finding any sort of initiate. And Fnatic they've positioned themselves very well, and they've moved around the map very well too. But at the same time, Liquid, they have like mass stuns too. They have 4 stuns, and Koikwa is just going to be out farming. So their 45 is pretty decent, and Lincoln's doesn't even have his Lincolns yet, and OD doesn't have an item yet either. And at this stage of the game, if Liquid can't take the fight versus Fnatic when they don't have any 4 staffs, Lincolns, mechs, they're definitely not going to be able to take the fight later, especially without any minuses on their side. I mean, they have one on Quakefoot, but maybe once he gets the Orchid, things start changing around for them. But at this point, Fnatic can just gem in 5-man round, take down Roshan, and if they get a mech on Hani, their 5-man is incredibly strong, and Liquid doesn't have the items or the levels to handle it.
Well, Hani's got 3,100 gold in the bank. We'll see what item he wants to pick up. Things are looking pretty dire at the moment for Liquid, and Trixie will be stunned by the Carapace. Arrow will get the deny up here. Gets a stomp off, but didn't need it. And this is the problem you're in if you're Liquid. Like you just said, it would seem like their game plan needs to be aggression, but Fnatic has no reason to have to give you those openings. They could just simply sit back, farm, take advantage of the advantage they already have, and know that other than potentially Way2, who doesn't even have tier 2 boots at this point, he's got Grievel's Greed 1 point into it right now. No one's going to be able to farm on your rate because of the Midases. I mean, hell, Lich is just about free to do it if he wants. I'm actually curious who's going to end up picking up the mechanism, because they've got a lot of candidates. And yeah, it's not even going to be OD. OD going straight for a Scythe of Ice. He picks up his ultimate orb.
Yeah, Fnatic, now that definitely the pressure is on Liquid, though, because of the Midases, because of how poorly the early game has been going, because of 4 towers that have been lost so far. That are kind of have to look for really good fights, but Fnatic's just not giving them any wiggle room. Quakefoot doesn't even have enough mana for 1 walk, so he's certainly dead.
Quakefoot?
Oh, maybe not.
Spotted out. There's the Frost Blast. And the Ancestral Spirit. He actually had just enough mana, but he was dusted. Can they catch him? Stomp's going to be a little bit short. And yeah, TC says, Quake for you. Best of luck, buddy. It's been nice. There's OD via the Haste Rune. Earth Splitter's there. Not even really needed, but I love that spell, especially whenever it gets a kill. Era making the Bone Fletcher disappear in a flash of green and brown. 10-3, and Quakefa very much wishing this was back to game 1. He is having not so hot of a game, just level 10 right now, and his net worth right smack in the middle, 5,300. And the top 3 in terms of net worth all belong to Fnatic, and that's not where you can afford to be with this many Midases out.
Yeah, this game is slipping away from Liquid and very, very quickly. If Fnatic gets a Roshan, they can take out the T2 and just completely starve out Liquid. But Liquid should be the one starving out Fnatic. They have the Nyx Assassin, and they have Mass Studs. They should be able to pick anyone off that is alone. But just, again, Fnatic not giving them any room at all. And I saw another Midas come out. Oh, it's actually on Dragon Knight, so they're going to try and play the farm game. And yeah, if it does go really, really late, maybe Liquid has a chance, but then you're going to have to deal with like a Scythe on OD, the mass damage coming out from the Eclipse, and a super farm Weaver who's going to have a Lincoln on top of that. It's just not the recipe for winning in this game. But, I mean, at this point, do they really have a choice? They can't find any fights. They can't push any towers. They can't 5-man. They can't really do Roshan either. So the last resort is kind of to just farm it up and hope for the best in the late game.
Yep, Way 2 has a Midas as well. Fresh up, and like you said, farm game, it's an option, and it's one of which they're going to avail themselves. 3 on the board now for Liquid, so yeah, Midas Gaming is a fun game, at least that's what they tell me. 3 out for Fnatic so far, and No Tail did have one, I could have sworn. But yeah, 6 on the board total now. The Mechanism will be out on Fly before long. He's got the buckler up, actually check that. Thought he had the headdress up as well, but nope, not even on the career, so a little bit longer than he would like. But Mech still on the way. Bulba has struggled quite a bit here early on, has simply not been able to make much happen with the Nyx. 1-2 for him, 4-0 and 4-1, a combined 8-1 between Era and No Tail on those 2 heroes. Great play from them.
Yeah, they're really good at running dual lanes too, like Fly and Era on the top lane. That's a very unusual lane, Lich and Elder Titan, but they just completely demolished Quakefa. And then No Tail kind of dissected the bottom and mid lanes for Liquid. So they're really good at splitting around the map, and their laning phase is much improved from the game that they lost. And they identified their weakness, which was, oh, we lost our lanes and we can't let that happen. And in the game, subsequent to their loss.
Good kill from Fly. He threw the ultimate, and the mini stun on it procs before the projectile hit, so that knocked him out of the TP. And very high priority kill there.
Yeah. Well, yeah, in this game, Liquid just trying to scramble up the farm. Yeah, with the dual Invis threat with a Clinks, Orchid, and a Nyx Assassin, maybe they can get some picks, but still, it is a long shot for Liquid at this point. The gold gap almost extended to 10,000, and that's with not even that big of a tower advantage, only 2 tower advantage for them. Fly gets an easy D-Sentry on mid, and now Liquid is playing in the dark. They just warded up Roshan.
11-3, 21 minutes in, and the gold continuing to arc in a steady slope upwards. Orchid finally out on Quakefa, and they're going to need him to just take this game over. He is level 11, so level 2 Death Pact will help him in that regard. And they're going to try to sneak a Roshan and make something happen that way. Really, this is their best option. And Fnatic, though, they're moving in that direction as a whole. They may sniff this out. They haven't started beating on the big boy yet. Down goes the acid spray. And they're going to go for it. This Rosh should drop pretty damn quickly.
Way too long to start. They were just like sitting there for like a good 5 seconds. And 5 seconds may be just a little bit too much. Quakefa's Death Pact has expired. And now the damage is coming in really, really slowly. Trixie is right around the Roshan pit with his illusions, but will not scout it out. So it looks like it will be an easy Roshan. But Elder Titan is very close to there. Nope, they will smoke and look for someone in the jungle. So nice play from Liquid. Getting that funnel, getting that Roshan up is very important into delaying this game and letting Liquid catch up and make that gold gap a little bit closer.
Quakefa going to be spotted out, and we're actually going to see a pick-off on Way Too Sexy in the meantime. Scythe of Ice showed off.
Yeah, that is incredibly bad for Liquid.
And way too down for 28 seconds. We'll see if they want to contend. First mobility item up on Bulba will be a 4-staff. Looks like the tier 2 is going to be the target. Fnatic going to work. TC zoned out by the Ancestral Spirit. And
Heidi's probably one of the few players, or he's probably the only player that rushes Sacrifice often as his first major item. And it works out a lot, too. I've seen him doing a Queen of Pain, I've seen him doing a Booker, Bulba going for Initiate.
good impale. No tail going to be brought down immediately. The rest go into retreat. Koikfa doing what damage he can, but unable to bring anyone else down. No tail down for 30 seconds, so they managed to defend the tier 2. It's outside of deny range, but at least able to hold on a little bit longer.
Yeah, breath of life in the liquid.
With a 14-6 record, who has twice as many pro wins as Lich and 6.79 as the next closest player. Who's your guess?
I don't know. I'm trying to think. Again, it has to be a team that wins a lot. Fnatic wins a lot. Na'Vi and Alliance kind of win a lot.
Yep.
It's tough. Liquid does not win a lot. I would not say them.
It is tough to call. I'm trying to think. There's one player that has a really sick Lich set that seems like every time I watch them, I always see him playing it. And because I remember the item set, I just can't remember which player it is. But
I'll just go with Fly, I suppose.
I'm going to say Fnatic. We've been seeing Fnatic play Lich a lot. Lately, anyway. Fluff going to get the telekinesis up. He's going to be stomped out, though. In the meantime, behind the fight, Bulba's able to TP away. They do manage to clean up Fluff and stuff, so 13-4, and Fnatic maintaining control of the center part of this map. Trixie's continuing to farm away. He's actually slowly put together a nice little inventory. 1,300 gold to go with his Lincoln Sphere, Treads, Bassi, and Midas. This tier 2 in mid, not going to be standing for long as it falls to a shambles. Good news for Liquid, though. BKB finally done on the DK.
Yep, and that will be one of the last remaining T2s. Trixie, oh, they almost catch him out with a double invis threat, but now Bulba in a lot of trouble.
Here we go. Bulba caught out. Stomp. Gonna whiff on both, though. And can they chase him down? The enchant's there, and the Chain Frost didn't even get a bounce, but they don't need it as Koikfa's scythed out. And we'll be able to scurry away, maybe. Comes back out, throws out one flaming arrow. Searing arrow, I should say. But nonetheless, Fnatic taking utter control of this game now at 25 minutes in. There's the mech done. Ake, 14-6. But, yeah, it must be Ake I was thinking of with that sick Lich set. Nonetheless, way too busted with his hand in the cookie jar. Gets off the stun, but he's in prison, so that stun not going to accomplish much. He'll try to make his exit, but Scythe of Ice is there, and the right click more than enough to allow Fnatic to now more than or nearly quadruple up Liquid in terms of kills.
Yeah, this is pretty darn devastating for Liquid. Again, their ticket back in the game is just getting really key pickoffs with looks like, yeah, Koipo will get his first pick off there.
Yep, Fly dead, Era in trouble too, so that's what they needed. Fortuitous DD
exactly
rune.
what they needed.
Fortuitous DD rune for TC, and Koikfa securing his second kill of the game as well.
Yeah, they need to take fights when Hani's not there. Connie could just like anyone who gets orchided or offensively stunned from Nyx and or DK, he could just defensively Astro and immediately turn around the fight. So they kind of need to pick fights off where he's not there, and he has a gem, so they really can't get the jump on him. Also, the Sammy's Eclipsing, which is nothing to scoff at, as well as the Arcane Orb. So they kind of just need to make Hani maybe like bait out way too or something and just take a fight somewhere else where Hani is not, because that's the only way they're going to win small engagements. And big engagements, they really don't have a chance right now. Even though they do have the Aegis on Clinks, it doesn't really matter because he won't have Death Pact upon revival. But as long as they can delay the game, not let Fnatic take the next Roshan and defender T3s maybe until like the 35-40 minute mark, they'll be in a much better position. But because then it comes to the point where, hey, can you 5-man and force us to fight while we split push your towers? And Liquid has a very good lineup at doing that with the Clinks and the Nyx Assassin.
Yep. Quick in position to split push if they want. He just, use Chain Frost just to clear out a camp. Gonna guess it's probably about to expire. About a quarter time. Lich Actually manages to get a kill on Nick's assassin here in mid. Bulba caught hanging out where he shouldn't have been hanging out. And Fnatic going to now double back. Roche still quite a ways away. The Aegis will be reclaimed before long. And looks like they want to pressure this tier 3.
They definitely should. They need. It's not that they need to end the game. It's because they have the advantage right now. So why? They don't need to waste their advantage right now.
Right.
They can just press their advantage and end the game quickly, as opposed to taking the risk of having it go really late and then maybe just losing the game due to mass stuns. Because Fnatic, they don't actually have any stuns. They have Echo Stomp, a pseudo stun, as well as OD with his sheep, but that's it. And Liquid has by far better stun. So if it gets to like a really, really late game, the innate skills of like Enchantress and Lich is not going to be very useful compared to the mass stuns from Rubik, Nyx, Alka, and DK.
And Era has 3,200 gold tucked away. Looks like he's going for a Scythe of Ice as well, and he's not far from it. Manages to deny that top tier 1 as the rest of Fnatic pulls back. And again, this is kind of where things are dicey for Liquid. Fnatic basically can dictate the pace of this game freely, and no matter what, they come out ahead. If they're able to put a pressure on and even just trade evenly with Liquid, they're going to be coming out ahead there in that regard now. Or they can just pressure, make a reaction, make them have a reaction, fall back, and go back to farming. Trixie just finished his Desolator as well, so his damage output
gank.
Gonna go.
Oh, and actually just double invis gank on Era.
And Era spotted out, was on his way to buy his Mystic Staff, so a very well-timed kill there for Liquid. Bulba and Way2. Way2's going to be probably caught out. Yep, scythed out. And Force Staff trying to get him to safety. He may drop the ult if he can get in range. No Tails right behind him, and not going to chase up into the dark. Probably a good call.
Nice save by Bulba there. I thought he was just going to use a Force Staff on himself, like before Way2 came, but nice save there and the nice impale. He hit 2 impales there, which is not terribly easy considering Elder Titan, like he had to like spin around, like Elder Titan was on his left and then he was like to his down and right. So I mean, sometimes you do have to give props for hitting those somewhat difficult to hit spells.
And Way2 is slowly beginning to amass some items. He's got his Ogre Club. Mithril Hammer's probably in the coming. Could end up going with an Abyssal, though. To deal with, or not an Abyssal, but a Heaven's Halberd, if he really, really wanted to. Although I think the BKB probably going to be much more essential for him at this stage of the game. And Fnatic just trying to clear out the map. Roche is actually going to be on a very short respawn here, and if Era comes down here and scouts this, this could end up being quite a free Roche for Fnatic, as they might just be in the right place at the right time.
Ooh, they know that Quick was there, but without Hani there, they won't be able to kill him. They need his gem, they need his Scythe of Ice. OD with BKB now. Oh, this is rough. This is rough for Liquid. Hani's farm has just been absolutely ridiculous. 4-1 and 2. He is just in, just behind the CS compared to TC, but he is good 1,100 ahead of TC. So looking at net worth, is actually pretty even in a lot of areas where he gets caught out, but not that important of a kill. We see OD and Weaver on top, but Clinks and DK aren't too far behind. But the third place on Fnatic, the Elder Titan, is way far ahead of the third place on Liquid.
And Fnatic moving on into the Roche pit. Yeah, Liquid's not even going to try to contest it. They know what's going on, and they're just going to fall back and farm. And probably the right call to make. They need absolutely every bullet in the chamber. And with Alchemist down, not a lot that can be done. OD grabs that Aegis, and this may end up being a potential game-ending push coming out of Fnatic, especially if they get a pick here. Fluff, able to Shikuchi away after stealing it from Trixie, may have just saved himself with that.
Yeah, nice play there. Using telekinesis to pop the Lincolns, immediately steals and runs away, knowing that Hani, I believe it wasn't Hani. One of the supports used their Force Staff on him, so they don't really have a way to catch up to him. And Hani is just sitting far, far behind with his gem and True Sight.
TC.
And it looks like TC is going to get cut out.
Yep, Bulba's there using the Carapace. Chain Frost is there. BKB might be enough to buy him some time. Couple of bounces there, and TC just hanging around. It continues to bounce and do massive damage. And TC did not separate out. Quake was there to help clean up Hani. That's a big return pick for Liquid. Now Fnatic has the option of continuing to push if they want to. The creeps are actually way far back, though. They'd have to go back to mid. And DK currently back in the well healing. And it looks like Fnatic just going to go ahead and fall back.
I'm so surprised that he survived that. now he has 2200 HP, which is very, very nice on him. So I thought this game was kind of out of reach for Liquid, but they're hanging in there quite nice. And now with the Aegis down, Fnatic can't make a really concerted push effort in like the next 8 or 9 minutes or so until the next Roshan is up. I mean, they can, but it's going to be a really risky one without the Aegis because we just saw how fast Honey dropped.
Once again, Koikfa picked off. He's down for 66 seconds, and he does not have buyback. That is such a huge source of damage they can't afford to have gone. And looks like they're going to go ahead and rotate off of it as well. At least sending a couple in the mid, just clearing house. And they may try to push mid off of that death.
Yeah, that was a pretty costly death. But at the same time, he can't really avoid it, though. Fnatic just has so many items. Their farm and movement has just been so good around the map that he can't really stay alive. But at the same time, he does need a farm. He can't get starved out. And when you take a risk like that because you don't want to get starved out, you're going to get picked off now and then.
And here we go. Bulba has finished his Blink Dagger, so have the ability to land a good Impale. Waiting on the next creep wave. Healing up with Nature's Attendants in the meantime. 18 seconds now until Koikfa's back up and ready to rock.
When Koikfa comes back up, he won't even have Death Pack, though, because there's no good creeps with Death Pack, so it's going to take him way longer than 10 seconds to be on.
Bulba whiffed on the Impale. And Klink's going to be back up in 5. Are they just going to take the tier 3 and be happy about it, or are they going to hang around?
They don't want to stick around now when Koikfa's up. I would say that they wouldn't.
Yep, they're going to go ahead and bail. So taking the free tier 3, though. Double damage has spawned down in the river, if anyone's able to spot it, but they still maintain a considerable gold lead. They have not improved upon it in quite some time. In fact, it has dropped from a high of 10,008. So Liquid has managed to at least stop the bleeding. Just a matter of if that's enough. We are getting into the later stages of the game now as we approach 35 minutes.
TC may get sheeped out here.
Staying right on the outside range of it. Trixie right there in front of him. Eric comes out, uses the Midas. At this point, do you feel like Fnatic's confident enough to take a full 5-man?
I think so, but there's no reason to risk it in a straight 5-on-5 engagement. They can just like smoke up through mid and get the jump on Liquid, because all they really need to do is get a pick off, which is really easy considering Honey is a Hex. So just get one pick off, force a buyback, take it easy, because there's, again, not too much pressure on them. If they had the Aegis, they can just take a straight 5-on-5, but without it, looks like Koikfa.
And once again, Koikfa's deaths are just killing them. And once again, he's going to have no buyback, and Liquid has to shove this lane out as quick as they can. They know that.
He was playing so well in November, but ever since like MLG and Liquid has been in the slump, he's just really not been playing that well. Way too going to get cut out here. He just dies so fast to Trixie.
Yep.
And it's close to being that GG point.
Fnatic up, and they even stomped TC. Trixie's right there in the site to follow it up. And he does have buyback if he drops. He certainly doesn't want to spend it, but actually remains alive at least a little longer. OD ulti drop, though. And the immediate buyback, this is going to put them virtually all in. They still have 2 down. Bulba blinked in, trying to make something happen. There's a stomp, but catches nothing but creeps. 18 and 23 seconds, respectively, for Koikfa and Weitu. They're going to lose at least 1 set of racks, probably 2. Bulba's there with an Impale. Only caught Trixie. Pops the Carapace. DC's there. Uses Dragon Tail on Fly, doing what damage he can with level 3 ulti. OD ulti was stolen and used out, but the damage just not there. And here we go. They're going to engage on the TC off the side device. Koikfa doing what damage he can, but with TC down, Bulba in trouble. That Chain Frost doing absolute work. Weitu's going to drop. That's a godlike streak for Hani. A mid racks down, and very well might be GG. We'll find out if they're going to call it, but either way, Fnatic utterly dominating the early game and rolling it up into what seems to be a very impressive mid-game win.
Yeah, this should definitely be GG for Liquid. That was without the Aegis. And then Fnatic, even if they take this rags and Liquid manage to somehow come back and defend it, they can just take the Aegis, and yeah, that's GG. Fnatic completely outplayed them. I would say outdraft them slightly, but mostly just outplayed. They were able to pretty much win all 3 lanes. No Tail doing work in mid and bottom, securing the lanes for both Trixie and Hani, and then Fly with his Lich play on top, just completely zoning out Koikfa. So I think that Fnatic just really adopted well from that first loss, and just played amazingly well all throughout this series.
Well, you can put the regular season of the HyperX D2L in the books. Fnatic comes up on top, fighting their way through the entire, the absolute longest road they could have taken through our bubble race. They managed to get the best of Team Liquid in our Western Finals, and we'll see you in Vegas, Fnatic. 24-7, the final kill score, 37 minutes, 23 seconds, the time it took, and Fnatic wins 3-1. And really impressed as hell with Fnatic. I mean, they played well in our group stage. They had moments of brilliance, moments of down. Again, finishing in 4th position in our regular group stage standings meant they had to play through the entire length of our bubble race. They started out against Virtus Pro 1-2-0, then managed to 2-1 Na'Vi, and now going 3-1 over Team Liquid to punch their tickets to Caesar's Palace. And hope you guys will grab some tickets. Well, that's actually a good point. You don't need tickets, but we'll touch on that here in just a moment. But 37 minutes again, 23 seconds the official game time, 24-7. Oh, thank you, Naz. Yeah, that's a little embarrassing. I should just made my cheeks flush. But anyway, guys, thanks again for being a part of the broadcast, and we are moving ahead now and closing the doors, closing the curtains, as it were, on Season 4, our regular season anyway, as all we have left now are the grand finals. I'm your host, Aaron AC Chambers, the voice on the other end of the line, and who has been here throughout the entire stretch of D2L Season 4 has been Ben Merlini Wu. You can find us both on Twitter. I'm at AC. He's at Merlini Dota. Ben, it has been my absolute pleasure, man. You and I had worked together a little bit on and off leading up to this season of the D2L, but going through our both divisions, East and West, more than 120 games, it has been my true pleasure working with you. Your knowledge, your skill as a co-commentator and analyst, really unrivaled, my friend. Thank you so much for sharing this season with us.
Why, thank you, AC. It's been a pleasure casting with you too, and happy birthday, my friend.
Thank you, brother. Very much.
And yeah, our stint is not over though. We still have the playoffs you have to cast, but that is probably in quite a while though, around a month. But I'm pretty excited, and we will have a chance to cast on stage, as you said, at Caesar's Palace, and make sure you guys make it out there. And best of luck to all 4 of the teams. Did you guys ever confirm the format for the playoffs? Is it? Well,
again, I don't know that we wrote it into the rules, as bad as that is to admit on air, but we basically had decided it was going to be 1 versus 2. So it should, in theory, unless someone decides to change it that's above my pay grade, it should, in theory, be Alliance taking on Vici Gaming in round 1 at Caesar's Palace, and it will be Fnatic taking on LGD China in round 1 as well. So really looking forward to that. And, before we let you go, Merlini, go ahead and drop the deets, man. Let them know where all these fine folks can find you on YouTube and elsewhere. I'm sure they want to check out all of the great content you produce on a day-to-day basis.
You can find me on Twitter and Facebook for updates at Merlini Dota, and you can also follow my YouTube channel at /Merlini Dota. Thank you, ASC, for another fantastic cast. I've had the pleasure working with you in prior season of D2L as well as the Curse Tournament, and again, it is always a pleasure. Thank you very much, and thank you for all the organizers and the viewers for making this opportunity possible.
Yep, once again, check out Merlini Dota. The guy's amazing, and turns out great content on a day-to-day basis. He's at Merlini Dota, and me again, I'm at AC. And do want to thank all of our organizers, the guys behind the scenes. That guy right there, sitting behind the wall of monitors, his name is Conrad, a.k.a. Sesh, a.k.a. Quantum Hope. Guy has been here every moment of every match along with us, so special thanks to him, to Molly in the background, to Gianni, to Chris, to Pingy, of course, our Russian caster. I really enjoyed working with him. To I'm not sure how they're pronounced, so I'm not going to try, but all of our Spanish casting staff that has worked with us throughout the entire stretch here. I'm trying to make sure I don't leave anyone out, but yeah, Jason, the bot guy, I forgot about him. We added him to the team this year, and he's done a great job in getting the VODs up very quick so everyone can enjoy all of that. But more importantly, thanks to you guys. Without you guys, this season wouldn't happen. None of the season would happen. And for our in-game ticket holders, I am still in-game, so all of you in-game ticket holders should still be able to hear me. For all of you guys, there will be an announcement coming up probably this weekend as we launch our Grand Finals website, and it'll be all about the items, the fun little goodies you're going to get as a thank you for buying our tickets. They should be going into the game long before our finals and just in time for Christmas. So hope you guys will enjoy that as well. So nothing else to say, really. Season's over, regular season anyway. Once again, Coming out of the East, there will be LGD China and Vici Gaming going to our grand finals in Las Vegas. Fnatic joins Alliance coming out of the West. So those 4 teams battling out in a double elimination bracket January 7th through the 10th. And for if you want more information and want to know how you can be there, there's no ticket necessary. You literally can just show up. It's first come, first serve seating, obviously, for the live event, but you don't even have to buy a ticket to CES. You don't have to have access to that. All you got to do, show up at Caesar's Palace, and there'll be more details released about that looking ahead in the future. But yeah, completely free and open to the public, and we hope to see as many of you as possible there. And I think we're going to try to maybe do some extra content over the intervening weeks between now and Christmas and leading up to our grand final. So in the meantime, guys, thank you again so much for what has been an unbelievably fun Season 4 of the D2L, and I'm sure we're already looking forward to the next season over the horizon, even with our grand finals still left to be played. For now, enjoy your morning, evening, and afternoon, and enjoy some Dota.